Hi, and welcome back to Board and Baked. I'm Ryan,
And I'm Sam.
and if this were a Nerdist, this would be a hostful episode.
I don't know what that means.
Nerdist when they do just Jonah, Chris, and
Matt?
yes, Matt Myra. Thank you. It's called a hostful episode.
I did not know. I've listened to a bunch of Nerdist podcasts over the years. Never picked up on that term.
Yeah, I dropped off a while ago, just because they don't always have guests I like, and sometimes Chris Hardwick would get on my fucking nerves because
He's a bit of a blowhard.
Yeah, he's a little full of himself, but yeah.
In like a very entertaining way generally, credit where it's due.
I'm not trying to specifically shit on Chris Hardwick. I just find his personality a little abrasive. Like, it's kind of like the Kevin Smith thing, but like in less of a charming way. Because it's like at least Kevin Smith is like really stoned, and he just is used to being able to talk about himself because he does so many live events that
Right.
I'd say in some ways he might be a better interviewer and a worse one at the same time, but like I get the same feeling listening to both of them, which is let your guest fucking talk.
Yeah. Well, now that we've given our thoughts on other podcasts out there, you may have noticed that
we don't have a board for Board and Baked.
Yeah, well, which we've been playing mostly games that don't have traditional boards.
Yeah, but they still count as boards.
Yeah. But for our not so special New Year's Eve special, which we're actually putting out there on New Year's Eve, we're just gonna play some rummy.
Gin rummy.
Gin rummy. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I love rummy. Gin rummy is a close favorite, but I fucking love rummy. I think you know that about me after years of like always being like, especially when we were drinking back in the day, who wants to play rummy? Everyone would be like poker, and I'd be like, but rummy.
Yeah.
But just to get it out of the way and up front early, we are exhausted. We both have been awake for over 24 hours at this point.
Yes. And separately at that, both just very busy this time of year.
Yeah, not even hanging out or doing anything cool. So we decided to specifically only have a host episode.
Yes.
Because we didn't feel like we could support anyone else with our energy. We could not hold them up and laud them the way they should, and
look, let's be honest, there was a discussion before we decided to go ahead and put this out there about whether or not we would have enough energy to carry a two-person show.
Yeah, exactly. And we said, fuck it. If they're watching this, they are used to subpar.
Yeah, odds are you're either with your family or preparing to
trapped in a subway tunnel, trying to decide whether or not to gnaw off your leg, and this happened to be the first thing you came across as a distraction.
Exactly.
Any sort of weird scenarios that would lead you to watch our tripe.
Yes. And as always, the baked part of Board and Baked, we are just going to smoke some weed and play cards, which is kind of what got this whole idea of us recording this started, is we would just sit around and smoke weed and play cards.
Or Machi Koro.
Yeah.
And which is why we chose Machi Koro for season 1.
Yeah.
Which now that we're doing the lives, I'm not sure if we even really are still in that same time frame, but
I don't know, it's evolving.
Yeah, if you'd like to hear more about the podcast, where it started, what Machi Koro is, how you play it, and basically start at the beginning. We do have an episode 0 that handles a lot of that, and it's probably even more boring than this episode.
Yes.
But it's a love of labor, and it's a learning process. This is the first time we've ever tried something like this, and hopefully we'll continue to get better.
Yeah, and if you don't like it,
you don't have to watch it. That's the beauty of this format.
No, that's you're alienating people. If you don't like it, why don't you just go ahead and comment with what you think we should be doing differently?
Oh, that's actually a really good idea.
Well, this is YouTube, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of kill yourself, but I'm fine with that.
Then, they might be right, but that's not for me to say.
I've considered it. I don't think it's for me.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to leave that where it lays on the table and move on.
That's New Year's Eve special. It should be dark.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Should I turn off some lights?
No.
Right.
I meant
just
that,
mentally dark,
yeah,
not physically,
we
visually.
want them to be able to see that we are putting down cards. I don't think anybody can see what the cards are, but
Yeah.
whatever. If you've watched any of our stuff in the past, you know that if you can follow along, odds are we're doing something wrong.
We are trying to replicate the feeling of sitting down with a couple of your knucklehead friends, and maybe not necessarily playing a board game with them, but hanging out while they do stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the game will always kind of take a backseat to our frivolity, no matter how mediocre they may be at the time. Once again, sometimes we hit the ball, sometimes we don't.
I really hope that
It can't all be sugar.
I really hope that at some point we get a dedicated enough fan base that there are people playing along at home.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool. I'd totally be into that.
They would be insane people.
Yeah, I would love that though. They would be playing against us, and if they win, they could message in and be like, "I beat you guys 3 rounds ago," and that would be fascinating to me. I'd be like, "How'd you do it?
Yeah.
How are you utilizing the demolition company?" And actually, that would be something I'd like to do. Is one day, hopefully, get fans to Skype in and actually play with us live with the group. I don't know how we do it. We'd have to figure it out later.
But, that feels an awful lot like meeting a stranger.
Because I do love cards and rummy, my wife actually got me this sweet Harley Quinn set for Christmas as one of my stocking stuffers. So I could have really monopolized there and seen what that car was, but I didn't bother to look. So
I didn't even think to.
Yeah. But so yeah, that's what we'll be playing with tonight, is a set of Harley Quinn playing cards. And she also got me that fucked up Batman versus Superman Uno set. That our colorblind friend can't play with because too many of the colors are similar. They don't use the classic colors.
I'm not colorblind and I can barely tell the difference between green and yellow. It's a bad palette.
Yeah, it's a bad palette. Specifically the greens and yellows they chose. But I blame all that on Zack Snyder for his very dark palette for that shit fucking movie.
Yeah, that's one more thing we're gonna lay at Zack Snyder's feet.
I don't, so you technically go first.
Yes, okay, right.
Speaking of Zack Snyder, I thought we had a great discussion last night. I can't remember if you were there for it still or not, but basically, Batman's V versus Superman's P, was so bad that it was the only thing that by comparison could make, Suicide Squad, fairly watchable. Where, I likened it to comparing types of diarrhea, where they're
pea soup versus dirt water, or
they're both bad, but it's would you rather have the one where your asshole is on fire but you go twice and you're pretty much done pissing out of your asshole, or you're running back, nothing's coming out all day, and when it does it's horrible and terrible, it's basically just shades of diarrhea.
Personally, I like the hot squirts. Wasn't
that the name of your barbershop quartet?
No, actually, it was the really, really inappropriate water park we had for kids. Yeah. It was a bunch of women in bikinis and then 3-year-olds. And it didn't work.
Yeah, those billboards were really awkward.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, all the water was heated to hot tub levels.
Oh yeah.
So nothing was refreshing about it in the summer. Yeah. It was just swimming around in a vat of
108-degree water, just frying kids' brains.
You'll never think again.
Yeah, we're making toddler soup. Hot squirts.
Yeah, oddly enough, Toddler Soup was the name of my very unsuccessful talk show.
No, what I was going to say is I've been, as you know, I've been rewatching South Park. And
yes. Which got me rewatching South Park.
Nice.
Yeah.
The poop episode, the Guinness Book of World Records. Poop.
Oh, I'm not poop. Bono.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Bono
recently came on, and the watching Randy Marsh just
which I believe they use in the video game actually.
They might,
The first one, yeah.
But no, like I immediately related to it. I was like, oh yeah, the hot shits. Those are the worst.
They are terrible. My favorite bit from that episode is when they keep flashing the Grammy-nominated television show. Or no, well, it wasn't an award-winning, and it also wouldn't be the Grammys.
It was
the
Emmy.
Emmy.
Yeah.
Emmy.
Emmy award-winning program.
Yeah. Fuck me.
I guess if you're not familiar with how to play Rummy, you want to cover that for viewers at home, or you're.
You know what? No.
You've got the internet. Look it up.
Google exists. If you're watching this on your phone and you don't own a laptop or like desktop, I'm sorry. I don't think I have the energy or wherewithal right now to explain it properly.
Yeah.
Basically, it's kind of like Rummy, except you keep your hand until you've made all your books, and then you lay it down and say, "Fuck you, I won."
Yeah. You'll see us play.
Yeah. You also don't get to draw from the longer discard pile. It's
Just
a single
a ton.
card. Yeah, discard pile. It's a little more complicated. I would say not quite as fun as Rummy, especially 2-deck Rummy. If you're rolling with a lot of people, you can really get some crazy shit going.
Oh yeah. Well, there are people for whom I assume Rummy is not the card game they're familiar with, whether it's Hearts or Spades or Go Fish or whatever the card game of choice is. I feel like not everybody necessarily knows Rummy.
All right, that's fine, I guess. And if I remember correctly, and you can quote me on this, you're not technically. I mean, we've always played it. You can lay down a card you pick up, but I think technically you're not allowed to, since we're talking about the rules. I guess we should clarify this.
I've always understood it as if you draw from the deck, you can discard it, but if you pick it up from the pile, you can't discard it back.
Okay. Yes, I believe that is correct. And if we are wrong about that, feel free to comment, and we will.
Because we also have Google, but we're too lazy to use it.
Yeah. Well, and we've Googled it before, which is I think how we got to our current play style.
Yeah, that seems accurate.
If you're from the East Coast, you might not notice just because being from the East Coast. I'm wearing my Ravens hoodie I got as a gift a few years ago. I'm not a huge football fan, but I am a bit of a football fan. And
well, they just won.
With that being said, like our hometown boys just won the AFC North Championship, and took that shit. Hopefully away from the Steelers. If you're a Steelers fan right now, you are like biting your lip and spitting blood and like very unhappy. But we defeated our longtime rivals, which always seems silly to me because they just happened to be in our conference for a long time.
The Browns aren't our rivals.
They weren't much competition, unfortunately.
They're real salty because Baltimore got their franchise.
Well, I think that's where the whole rival thing came up, but for a long time, unfortunately, they weren't able to really compete on a level that made them rivals like the Bengals.
But they're a bad team from a bad town.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
And you know what, Cleveland, you can fight me on it.
Yeah. Comment. We'll be happy to comment back.
The best Cleveland ever was Peter Griffin's sidekick.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So we managed to defeat the Browns just barely, but with a timely interception, and
A win's a win.
Yeah, and we are now going to the playoffs as 4th seed, unless I believe there is some really weird way that the Steelers could still overtake us, but I believe they would have to tie, or someone else would have to tie to actually knock us out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. For those of you watching who can't see that his other card is facing the wrong way, he just went right the fuck out. 4th round, 5th round. That was a good.
It was fast. Yeah. I ended up just pulling into a couple of different tricks, and if you can see it on the camera, that is the winning hand, and then that was my discarded card.
Out card. Can you actually flip that over since it is art? This one.
Oh yeah.
Just in case anyone cares. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother showing the viewer because I don't think they'll care about a losing hand, but
That's a nice run, though.
yeah, I was getting real close too, which
Yeah.
also makes me think, and also this awesome Alex Ross art from Mad Love for the Ace of Hearts, I thought was a good choice. And they actually have the alternate one, which I have a T-shirt of, on the Ace of Spades, which makes sense.
So I think what you're saying is Shelly got you a really cool gift with these cards.
Yeah, they are fucking awesome. The art is fantastic. They did not skimp. So yeah, no, I don't think we shuffled this deck enough either because we were both really close to going out really early on. It's a fresh deck.
I don't know, man. You shuffled the hell out of it before we hit before we hit go live.
I was trying, but with like the stickage of cards, yeah, I guess maybe it is just happenstance. It is your deal, though. We don't have a dead set of games we're going to play. Usually with Romy, you played 500.
But you may notice that we're not actively keeping score. You know,
We play for pride.
Yeah.
Not points.
Yeah, right. We're just taking games.
Yeah.
You know, so in the course of a night, we might play 5 games, we might play 3, we might play 20. You know.
Well, I find this day and age, a lot of times when sitting down with friends to play an actual game of Rummy 500, like most people don't have the time or like attention span to finish a whole game of 500. So really, at that point, it's just whoever had the highest score when everyone calls it quits wins now.
Yeah.
Too. So like keeping score for this sort of thing seems even more asinine. Although we could kind of do like a chess thing where we like keep a running score of all of our games. Like we would have to learn how to score our cards, but
I use an X-Acto knife.
I'd be starting out at a deficit, obviously, from this one.
Well, because math.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Fine. Does not sting. Only burns.
Like a good STD.
Yeah. Chlamydia is there. It's a State Farm jingle, right?
Yeah, that's right too.
So what I'm trying to tell you, very secretly, is Peyton Manning has STDs.
Well, that's
riddled with them.
Bold claim that does not reflect the views of Board and Bait.
Well, prove me wrong. That's all I'll say.
You heard him, Peyton.
Yeah.
Show us your papers.
Come at me, Manning. Fucking amazing quarterback and fucking charming as fuck.
Owns a bunch of pizza chains. Papa John's.
Papa John's, yeah. Which I wonder if, in retrospect, he thinks that's a poor decision.
Well, I don't think he was calling people the N-word. That was just John Schnatter.
Yeah, that was just John Schnatter. But like, you know, I'm sure they took a slight dip. Well, I don't know. They might have doubled up actually, because a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of racist people were like, now I'm going to only order Papa John's. Didn't the KKK actually come out and?
Jesus, they might have.
I'm pretty sure they endorsed them as the official like pizza of bigots. Like
that. In a really disappointing way, that would not surprise me at all.
Amen, brother. Amen.
You know, because at one time Pizza Hut was the pizza of bigots. You know,
well,
and then Domino's got in the game, and then, you know, like...
Well, it's definitely the pizza of people with low expectations. I would say, actually, like, the jump from Pizza Hut to Papa John's is like... saying, like, you know what, let's not go to the Olive Garden tonight. Let's go to the Macaroni Grill.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, you're right. It is a step up.
And once again, and in this way, a much closer comparison, comparing varying shades of diarrhea. Which should probably have been the name of the episode if I'd known where this. We should really start naming these afterwards.
Well, that's the problem with going live. Is
I don't believe the format allows you.
Yeah, I gotta pick a
I knew that making that statement, but I was like, I thought it would track.
I'm glad to discover that I can upload a thumbnail instead of trying to take a picture like right beforehand.
Well, whenever we go back to doing non-live episodes again and releasing those instead of just using these as our episodes for the week.
Which we are trying to figure out how to do editing, but we're both very dumb and busy and...
Not a lick of artistic talent in either of our bodies, but like we are dedicated, we'll figure out. We also were trying to run a campaign. Like, we're working on a bunch of different things right now.
A lot of plates in the air.
Yeah, so which actually might be our next venture. I don't know if it's too early to say, but
Spinning plates?
no. The campaign we're writing right now might be the next like online venture that we do, whether it would just be a podcast or a vodcast or both or streaming. Or,
we're looking at we
branching
also,
into a real play podcast, which I think we've been pretty open about from the beginning.
Yeah, we also have both a fairly extensive, not background, but history with role-playing games. We both really enjoy them. We've both come to really enjoy a lot of the real play podcasts that are out there.
If you're not listening to any of them, I'd take this moment to recommend Adventure Zone, probably the one I've enjoyed above all others because it's made me cry more than most.
They've got some feels.
Yeah, they've got some really good feels, and the overarching story was just very well done. The character work was really well done by the players as well. I really enjoy it. I also like Cthulhu and Friends. I've given Drunks and Dragons a try. I need to go back to it. I really like. Oh shit! I just blanked out.
I was going to throw a film reroll out there.
Thank you. Yeah,
as a real play podcast, I think they've got a great hook and a great cast.
Yeah, I think they do a lot of inventive things with that actually that I really enjoy, and they use GURPS, which is actually what we have played for about 10 years, and now we're kind of taking a break away from. But
so anyway, yeah, we are doing a lot of stuff right now, and I think that in order for us to move forward, we are going to have to figure out how to make edits in video and stitch stuff together.
Start doing like bumpers, have like a beginning and end animation, and a bunch of stuff. We really have no clue where to start. In the YouTube tutorials we have found were not quite what we needed, and like we have limited. Is it me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We keep shuffling through our cards, so I just. Yeah, no, we. There's a lot of things we'd like to do that we haven't been quite successful with for a lot of reasons, and so we find live is actually a better format right now because it allows us to kind of run wild.
Yeah,
and it's a good feeling.
But it also means that title may end up being pretty misleading.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's still accurate, I guess.
Yeah. What, the Board and Baked?
No,
no. I mean, it's
the
not
episode
very
title.
It's not very rockin'. I feel like it still works.
Yeah.
Like that was the nice thing about naming them after we were done recording. I had a lot of fun picking out names,
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was enjoyable to me. And sometimes they would change after they came out because I thought of one that was better. Not all the time, but sometimes. Oh, why was I holding on to that?
I don't know.
Me either.
Speaking of holding on to stuff,
we ain't smoking no weed.
Let's do weed.
Yeah, let's do some weed
should do
about
more
it.
weed.
Oh man, this isn't a hand; it's a foot.
For those of you listening at home, you probably haven't heard Ryan say that. I don't know. I'm gonna guess like a billion times over the years, but
I would have to guess quite a few.
More often than not, Ryan's got feet in his hands, which is gross if you think about it. Because feet don't go in hands; feet go in shoes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason. It's because they're dirty. They walk everywhere. Levi from Harmontown. Harmontown, originally, kind of a role-playing podcast.
Yeah, a little
and if you go back and listen to the earlier episodes, pretty darn entertaining when they were role-playing, on playing D&D on a regular basis.
Well, and I know I've talked to you about it, but, in the vein of role-playing podcasts, I really like Spencer Crittenden and Cohen's
just name the podcast.
Master Manual.
Yeah, Master Manual. Yeah, you actually turned me on to that, and somehow it's not on my favorites page anymore, so I need to go add that again. But definitely he finally gets a showcase to show what a good DM he actually is, because unfortunately Dan Harmon's personality doesn't lend well to letting someone else take the spotlight and kind of guide them, just the whole cast really, like anyone who's comptrolling. And yes please.
Well, but from what I understand, Harmon Quest is uh,
Well,
better about
that's
that.
a great pull, and that is an animated thing that they're.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made it to be specifically what it is, so I'm sure he gets more of a chance to like run with it, and I think it's also kind of partially his baby.
Well, I think he's got like a producing credit on it and some other stuff.
He does the narration explanation
Yeah.
for it, like and obviously they probably wouldn't be doing a D&D podcast if he hadn't have raised his hand and said, "I have dice. I'll role play for you tonight, like or
Oh, yeah.
next week." 2, 4.
Well, yeah, that's like very famously, Dan Harmon just throws out to the crowd, "Does anybody have dice?" And Spencer had his fucking dice, and yeah, now he's got a D&D Fifth Edition oriented guide to how to be a decent DM. Like, it's a pretty cool listen.
So I fucked up somewhere and didn't draw a card but laid down.
You are just a pile of crap.
How would you like to? Hold on. 3, 6, 9. Yes. How would you like to deal with this? It's your call because I'm the one who fucked up. So, like, would you like me to draw 2 cards? Where would you like me to draw from? Would you like me to take a card back and like put it in my hand?
I'll tell you what. How about this? If you are okay with it, I will cut the deck and you can take the top card from there as the replenishment for your card.
Okay.
So that'll take you up to 10, and then you can assess where you want to draw from.
Absolutely.
Deal?
Yeah, that sounds more than fair. Sorry about that.
I'm cutting there. That's your replacement card.
All right.
So again, for frequent watchers, you will know that we fuck up, and when we do,
Often
we try to handle it equitably in the moment and reasonably. And this is again not a game about winning or losing. It's a game about talking shit and having something to do with your hands.
Yeah.
While you smoke the weed.
Exactly. 2, 4, 6.
Now I have 12 cards.
No, okay. I still have to draw.
Draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a sassy little bitch, and you can't do nothing about it.
Okay.
I'm just a big old bowl of sassafras.
See, somebody put on their sassy pants today when they got out of bed.
So, since we've been talking a lot about role-playing this episode, would you like to discuss our role-playing pedigrees, where we started, where we are now, that sort of thing?
I would not. No.
Well, fuck me running, man.
Actually, no, I would, because my first role-playing experience also involves weed. So it's very pertinent to our format.
When you're done hitting that, please do elaborate, because I'm intrigued. I did not know this. I feel like I might have heard it, but actually I have heard this before.
Yeah, you have. So
much so I almost gave someone's first and last name on the podcast just now.
Your friend, the young lady that.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
deflowered me.
Yeah, yes. I was trying to put it more politely, but words are failing me as my brain is frying. So we both went over to a mutual friend's. Anyway, we're playing, I think, 3.5, and I'd never done any role playing before. So we're playing Dungeons and Dragons edition 3.5, I believe. It might have been 3rd edition.
It's probably 3rd if it was around that time period, because 3.5 came out after I'd given up on Dungeons and Dragons again.
Well, this would have been 2001 to... No, like 2001.
3rd dropped in 2001.
Okay,
I would almost
okay, so then we're playing 3rd probably.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure, because it came out like right after I graduated. Ah, fuck. But like...
Yeah.
So...
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I'm sorry.
I don't really know. And it's
just, you seemed unsure, so I was trying to help clarify, but please go on.
Well, but so I'd never played a role-playing game before, and I don't want to give the full name of the person whose home we were over, but the dude was a cook at Denny's, and...
That was the name I almost dropped.
Yeah. And everybody at this table smokes weed, and I don't smoke weed. I'm still, it's 2001. I'm 19.
Yeah.
And at the time I was, like dare worked on me.
Well, you had played sports, I don't know, you were going to a Catholic school, like
Yeah.
a Jewish guy in Catholic school. You might have been doing church or synagogue related stuff with your family. I couldn't say.
That's actually mostly reclaiming there now.
Okay,
It's just I need to clean it. It's all gunky.
It just looked like a specific fuzz, like some.
Yeah, nah.
Is that also reclaim? Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone so I don't.
Yeah, I just need to clean it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. But so anyway, the bong comes around to me. Whose turn is it? It's your turn.
Make sure you lay down that queen.
Yeah, it's your turn. So the bong comes around to me. I do a very good job, and I
wait. I'm pretty sure I laid down that queen.
That wouldn't make sense since I used to have it.
Okay, maybe I laid it down earlier and you picked it up and put it back down later. I couldn't say. Right, good point. That's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, the character that I was playing was a half troll, I think. And I just remember the first time that I was ever struck by weed inspiration. I had gotten myself involved in prize fighting, and in order to make money, I'm fighting this like group of goblins in a ring, and I ended up with this high inspiration. I was like, well, I'm very big and these goblins are very small, so I ended up picking one of the goblins up and bashing this conscious goblin into another goblin until they were both unconscious.
Yeah.
And then dropped him, picked up another one, and just repeated. And yeah, like that, it was one of the most fun things I'd ever done.
Yeah.
And that's what got me, interested in role playing with our group of friends that I worked with who role played.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so since we're talking about that's where you started, and then after that you met a group of friends through a job you were working at,
Yeah.
and you started.
Well, one of the folks that was there was Eric, who has been on this podcast before. There were some other folks, and we started playing Vampire, which is actually how I met you.
That is how you met me. Well, I knew you as the creepy guy who smoked in the corner of Denny's and read Heinlein books.
Yeah, that's back when Denny's had the smoking section. I had a regular seat in the back smoking section,
right next to the emergency exit,
yeah.
So he could be the first one out in the event of an emergency. Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. He would drink black coffee. He would sometimes get food, but not often, and he would read and chain smoke, which we were all back there chain smoking.
I used to get the country fried potatoes and a coffee.
Yeah, and we were the loud assholes who were always like about 3 seats away from you, screaming and chain smoking and ordering lots of food.
Yeah.
And so we had seen each other, but the first time we actually met, even though I happened to lose my virginity to one of your apparently longtime friends.
Not even a long time. Like at that time, I want to say that because she worked 2 or 3 doors down from us at the mall.
Oh, okay.
So we just sort of ended up becoming friends like earlier that year or something.
I think we're old enough to both admit that sometimes a lot of your friends in life tend to be friends of convenience.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes work friends turn into real friends, but a lot of time work friends are friends of convenience. They're around, so you're hanging out with them. You might help them out, they might help you out, but ultimately you're hanging out because it's convenient. And
it's like the person in the office that everybody's like, oh, they're so hot, but they're just work hot. Like in any other environment, you would look at this person and go, I don't find them sexually attractive. Yeah. However, if you work with them 8 hours a day, you start to go, yeah, I could do that.
Man, Chad's ass is rock hard.
Yeah.
Bethany's got a really pretty smile. Yeah, you start to notice stuff out of sheer boredom.
As somebody that went to an all-boys Catholic high school, I look back at my yearbook and I go, yeah, that teacher was not actually attractive. She was just the only woman we saw.
Yeah, fair enough. And in habits, no less.
Well, no, we only had lay teachers.
Oh, okay.
But As far as I'm aware,
Did you
nobody
ever
really-
lay any teachers?
No, I was not sexually abused by a teacher.
Okay, good. That's good. That's probably for the best. So what did we start playing? So you met everyone. We
Yes,
met and we started
We
playing.
started playing Vampire. We played a bunch of Vampire, sitting on the floor of a buddy's apartment and chain smoking. The air used to get so thick that there'd be a haze hanging maybe 3 feet off the ground, which is why everybody sat on the floor, was down where the air was breathable.
And oddly enough, that environment was the original impetus for this, because years before podcasts were really I mean, there were people doing them, but they weren't blowing up like they are now. There were only a few that were really getting heat.
Yeah.
And there they were doing videos and stuff too, but excuse me. Our one friend, we would get on these long rants and crazy conversations or do something amazingly epic in a game, and our one friend would always we should be recording this. The world needs to see this. And when we were having a discussion about whether or not we were going to do something like this, I turned to Sam and I was like, well, it's like dude always said, we are, we do have something that I feel like the world could see. We're maybe not presenting it yet, but we're we definitely cracked ourselves up. A room of 9 people all rolling on the floor about to piss themselves.
Yes, yeah, no, we all had very bad bladders. But no, I agree with you. I think that ultimately those discussions, those times hanging out is why I don't just think we're only fun to listen to situationally.
Yeah. I think ultimately, I kind of felt like we missed that opportunity to have actually just stopped talking about doing it and done it then.
Right.
So it's well, now we at least owe it to ourselves to give it a run,
Right. We should not just talk about it, but be about it.
Yeah, which we could have, if we had done that earlier, we probably would be not only a lot farther along than we are now, but we might have been that undiscovered gem that blew up when the medium got a lot bigger.
I just want to be better than we are now.
Right now, it went from being a pond to a sea.
It's true.
Yeah,
we are shouting into a maelstrom of competing products.
Like Garden State.
Yeah.
Just shouting into the storm.
I couldn't tell you when I go on to my favorite podcasting app. Yeah, it's your turn. When I go onto my favorite podcasting app, I can't tell you.
Which is?
Stitcher. That's you turned me on to Stitcher actually.
Nice.
And yeah, there are just so many different podcasts, and
it's hard to find a new one from the list just because.
And so many of them are bad. I've given them a shot and they're just bad.
But where do you even start?
Well, right.
Sometimes I'll just add a few things, listen to one episode, see if I like it or not, and then delete it from my favorites. So sitting on the floor, we were playing Vampire. I'm sorry, I'm trying to cue you as well.
We were playing Vampire, and then I think it was actually the idea of doing a zombie game that because nobody wants to hear all the and we pretended to be vampires. Blah.
Yeah, they don't need to hear all our exploits as vampires.
But fun role playing system. I'm actually as again Ryan is aware.
Let's get to that actually as you get chronologically there.
Well, no, I was going to say as Ryan is aware, I have some gripes with the company that wrote Vampire.
Oh yeah,
and they have very recently had
some problems. I heard.
I believe they're dissolving now as a result of their insensitivity issues.
Yeah, from what I understand, they very specifically are dissolving right now because they had to apologize so many times. The parent, the company that was helping them out just fired everyone.
Yeah.
The company that was basically keeping them afloat.
So, we played Vampire for a couple of years, and then in order to play a zombie game
where we were ourselves with as close of attributes as we could get to our actual selves,
which is where we hilariously discovered that Eric has enough minor visual impairments naturally that he is it 5 or 15 points away from being blind in GURPS.
Yes, yeah. By GURPS rules, he is blind, even though he can see fairly well. Like his.
Well, to model him correctly, because he's colorblind and he's night blind and he's got poor depth perception.
Yeah.
And like it's all these things that individually.
Let's just take this time to really shit on Eric. Thanks for being on our podcast, Eric.
Look.
No, I know.
I think Eric also thinks that it's hilarious.
Everything comes from love. No one's. I don't think anyone's upset.
But yeah, so that's one of the nice things about GURPS is you can model just about anything.
And Ned already had the books because he had heard it was a better system that had a port for vampire and werewolf and mage.
Famously, the Steve Jackson conversions of vampire to GURPS, at that time anyway, outsold vampire.
That's why they stopped giving them the license because GURPS was doing so much better. So that was our first foray into GURPS, and then after that we did a Star Wars campaign, I believe.
Oh shit! Yeah, there was that short-lived Star Wars campaign. We really didn't play a ton of games in that.
Oh, and then I moved to North Carolina, so
which put a bit of a kibosh on the game.
That was when you guys did the first GURPS Dungeon Fantasy, I believe, with actual miniatures and everything. Or at least that's what Ned was telling me was going on. I know you guys played some dungeon crawler GURPS while I was my first year down there.
There was some stuff. I really don't remember 100% what we ended up running through so many snippets of so many different games that it really is just a blur of GURPS. A blurp.
Yeah, a blurp.
Yeah.
Very, very blurpy.
Yeah.
Almost blurple, if you will.
Yeah, which is a common anodization color for titanium.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, so then we played GURPS for a while, and in GURPS you really, again, because you can create just about anything, we've done a pirate adventure, we've done Vikings, we've done we did
Vikings?
Yeah, we had a Viking thing with Annie.
Cool. Was that Annie's first game?
Yeah, it was like a one shot.
Yeah, not to blow her spot up, but Annie is our storyteller's sister.
Yes.
And
she's also a person in her own right.
Yeah. No. She is. That's funny. I'm always the first one to drop that shit on you when you're like, Shelley's Ryan's wife, and I'm like, well, that's she is a person with thoughts and. Yeah, but yeah, I believe she was kind of filling in now that I was gone, and also one of our other friends was having trouble making the games. He asked the sister if she'd be interested in playing.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that was an early one shot with her.
My favorite one shot was Ned's Western when I came back to visit that one year.
That was a lot of fun. I died epically.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah,
it was a Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid kind of situation.
Wild Bunch. It was a Wild Bunch. No, that we left out Exalted.
Oh,
we left out Exalted.
Yeah, we did. Well, we made a lot of character sheets. Our storyteller is famous for having us write up characters for, when we're doing World of Darkness, werewolf, mage, mummy, fucking everything. He pretty much ran the gambit. It was like, I have an idea for this. We're gonna do this.
So we just had all these characters for games that, for one reason or another, we never got.
That we were not allowed to reuse either.
Yeah.
If he wanted to do a game in the same system, but later it'd be like, no, you have to make a new character.
Oh, that's my GURPS Supers character that we never played. I still dream about that character.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Just gotta keep track of myself now.
Smart.
Because I'm a fucking dumb.
SMRT smart.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, I am.
But, yeah, so Exalted is another system by the people that did Vampire.
World of Darkness. Yeah.
White Wolf.
Yeah. But it was specifically supposed to be like an ancient history that mankind has forgotten that actually leads to the World of Darkness.
Yes.
There were parallels for all of the races from the different role-playing.
And it was a very similar system, but it had more cinematic stunts.
Instead of being based off horror movies and shit. And
it was more kung fu wuxia movies.
Well, it was very specifically anime, actually.
Yeah.
And you actually got extra points for doing more cinematic moves. The more things you could string together, and the more badass you could describe it and make it, you would get bonuses to make your shit even more badass.
Yes. Between Vampire and
GURPS.
early into GURPS, we played with Exalted for a while because that was before you moved.
Yeah, that was a fucking epic campaign.
Yeah. And then we've played with GURPS for a while. At this point, we've played with GURPS for 15 years, thereabouts.
God, yes.
Yeah,
I have.
It's disheartening.
I have less experience because I pretty much did no role playing in North Carolina. I played a fair amount of Magic here and there, but like Magic the Gathering.
But yeah, so we.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. It's GURPS up until you started playing D&D again. Like we both started listening to the Adventure Zone, I believe. You started playing D&D after.
I went on a couple of dates with this girl from Tinder. Sorry, woman from Tinder.
Yes.
And we ended up having a lot in common and having a lot of fun hanging out, but not really hitting it off romantically. And managed to actually do the. In talking to her, she mentioned that her role-playing group might have a free seat, and I was like, yeah, if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. And
turns out they were both spoilers. Turns out they were both cool with it.
Yeah, and I've been playing, like, that's been my side piece for.
Well, and like you said not too long ago, your side piece has become your main piece.
Yeah,
because our main group that we played with for years has kind of been on a permanent hiatus ever since our friend got. Graduated and got a new job. Yes. And now has much less time to storytell, and no one's really stepped up, which is also why we are working on this campaign.
Yeah.
Which you have predominantly taken over because really you can only have. Well, we could have 2 people roll a campaign, or run a campaign.
There's a way to do it.
But currently, we also need one. We would still need one of us to play to make enough players to have a group. So, as it is right now. You kind of taken it over. I will be a player with.
Well, and with my side group, so that's been 5th edition D&D.
Yes.
Right now we've also played some Hunter the Vigil, and we
are weird.
Currently playing Vampire the Requiem.
Wait, Hunter the Vigil, not Hunter the Reckoning.
Yes.
Okay, for those of you familiar with White Wolf, and for those of you who are not, Hunter the Reckoning was the first one from the first iteration of World of Darkness by White Wolf, where these were hunters who hunted the werewolves and the vampires and the any of the reality deviants, as they call them. Changelings. Oh, fuck, I forgot about Changeling. Yeah. That was actually an interesting idea that did not execute well. Hunter also was known for being super boring, because you were so low level and everything was so hard, and you're also just a normal schmo. Yeah. For all intents and purposes, with a spray can of gasoline and a lighter and that sort of shit. So,
yeah, it was a hard road to hoe.
Yeah. So not even that. You're playing so then. Vampire skipped 4th edition. And went straight to something called Vampire the Requiem instead of Vampire the Masquerade, and with that they rolled out all of their bigger lines anew as well. They just started over pretty much from not from scratch, but
Well, Vampire the Requiem, as I understand it, and I could have the chronology all fucked up, but as I understand it, they redesigned the tabletop role-playing system because Vampire the Requiem, the video game, did moderately well.
I bought that and never actually got to play it.
So they did a New Coke thing where they took their main product and they reverse engineered it off of this derivative product.
Yeah.
Because New Coke was supposed to taste more like Diet Coke.
Mm.
And that was the whole. Yeah.
Well, it was less sugary. That was actually the selling point. They did a commercial with Bill Cosby specifically where he extols how classic Coke is still the Coke you love, and it's extra, it's Or no, it was sweeter. That's what it was.
It was sweeter.
They made it they made it sweeter to compete with Pepsi. And he was like, this is, he doesn't say this is more Pepsi-like, but he's like, classic Coke is the Coke you still love, and new Coke is that sweet alternative that you're gonna love. And then Bill Cosby actually felt that hurt his career being attached to new Coke when it failed.
So that's when he started doing more rapes?
Oh, fuck you. What the fuck?
He's been convicted at this point. I don't think it's controversial to say.
No, he sued Coke.
Oh, okay.
He sued Coke because he felt it damaged his career. There were rapes during that period, of course, because he was Bill Cosby and he's a serial rapist and a piece of shit. But, so anyway,
I just don't want anybody to forget. I think Larry Wilmore had the right idea.
The reason I laugh so hard is because the idea that not only is Sam playing one of the least popular games next to maybe Mummy from World of Darkness, but he's playing it from the least popular edition as well. So it's like a double whammy of like, who made that call? You don't need to say a name, obviously.
That is what the storyteller wanted to tell, and it turns out a fairly fun game, and it got us back into the mindset of doing World of Darkness. So thus we're playing Vampire the Requiem. But I have DM'd one 5th edition game that I had a lot of fun running in my side piece group, and I've also run.
I laid down and then picked up because I'm a fucking idiot. So it's your turn.
Okay. Jesus Christ, man. No, I laid that down. Didn't I?
I'm back to 9 cards.
9.
Yeah, I was at 9 cards, which is why I was like, I had to have laid down and picked up just now.
How do you do that?
I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. 2, 4,
well, if
6,
you watching
8,
at home 10. Can identify where the error was made, kudos to you.
That's another hope of mine, is that this just becomes like a weird cult thing because people really like picking out how many times I fuck up. Like, we could just change the name to Ryan's a fucking moron. Look at this dumb asshole go. Welcome to Ryan's a moron. That's why the song don't rhyme.
It's funny. I've been fucking around with trying to come up with theme music for us.
I actually have a YouTube artist I would really like to borrow some of their music as a theme, at least for this podcast.
I found a chiptune creator on the internet that's...
Oh, like Griffin, you're going to start making your own
music.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that is a dangerous game, my friend.
Oh, what do you think I do at work? I don't work. I fuck around with a chiptune creator.
You're sure as fuck not learning how to edit.
Well, that's true.
I
have looked at it. It baffles me.
Oh, I don't blame you. That should be scary.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, man, what a clusterfuck I got going on here. I got a lot of options. And
how many cards do you have?
I have 11.
Okay.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Successior. Which is cross between Excelsior and Success.
Yeah, I figured. Successior.
Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Yeah, I just mispronounced it.
Okay.
I mispronounced that fake word. But that's where you pretty much are today. You played Hunter,
yes.
The least popular edition of Hunter.
Hunter the Vigil, Vampire the Requiem, 2nd edition.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've DM'd the one game in 5th edition D&D, and I also ran a game briefly in...
D&D?
In GURPS. I ran a martial arts game in GURPS.
Yes.
And now we are looking at doing a Western campaign in Fate, using the Fate system.
Yes.
Which we've dabbled with a little bit with my main group, I guess, our shared group.
We played a test group. Well, technically we have 2.
I guess I was going to say, now it's your turn.
I'm going to bang through mine, though, because a lot of it is the same as yours. Pretty much anything in the period.
And I told it better.
I mean, it goes without saying, honestly. Motherfuck, you fucking fuck.
Got quite the mouth on you.
Oh man, that's just like real insult to injury. What you laid down there. I started with D&D Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
AD&D, which you
AD&D,
also have.
which I also have and have not taken medication for in years. I just rough it out and live. Not that I'm against medication, I just haven't.
I'm just all for ADD jokes.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. So I started out with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. My DM at the time was very good about making. Oof, he kind of took it easy on me starting out, but like also like the loot was so sweet, for everyone.
You're making this sound like a molestation situation.
I would have stopped touching his dick, but that loot was so sweet.
He just had that best candy.
Good hand, by the way. Well played. That thing was much more of a
You were
goer.
close, man.
I was getting there. I made some poor choices. It's fine.
We've all been there.
It's your shuffle.
I know. So continue. You were playing AD&D.
Yeah, and like I said, the loot was so sweet. I just couldn't stop. We played that for a while. We switched to 3rd edition for a little bit. Went through multiple campaigns with that DM. That's actually where I met the guy who introduced me to our current storyteller.
Okay.
The one we played Vampire and GURPS with.
And Exalted and Fate.
And just a lot of everything.
Yeah.
So many campaigns and one-shots. The guy is a font of knowledge and ideas.
Yeah.
Until now, anyway.
Oh, he's very, very busy now. We're all very busy now.
Yeah.
Continue.
Basically, the teenage angst of we were a pretty dry group. We drank from time to time and stuff like that, but none of us really smoked pot or anything like that. But we the inner turmoil of people fucking each other in the group and fucking each other's significant others and just all that bullshittery.
Which I would like to point out, I did not get involved in until way, way later. I am technically Eskimo Brothers with a bunch of people now.
Oh, okay. I've heard that term before. I did not know that that's what it was applicable to. Let's never use it again.
It's an easy shorthand.
So, I stayed out because I was in a long-term relationship during all this. I actually stayed out of the web for a long time, but none of my dalliances with people were ever like problems.
We've had the fucking 2 of clubs to start on, I think, 3 of these hands.
At least 2. It was the first one and this one, but I think you're correct. 3. Maybe it's fate. Maybe I should go play the.
Maybe it is fate.
The pick 3 222.
Maybe this is the universe saying, "Play that Western."
Fate. So yeah, basically the group broke up. I still knew the guy, I still knew a guy from the group. He came and filmed a movie I had been working on. He did an acting part for us. That's how I started hanging out with him again. Mm-hmm. He eventually introduced me to our storyteller who interviewed me. He interviewed me to play with them. That's how prestigious it was. No. You didn't get that because you were their boss.
Well, that's true. And we were co-workers.
Well, they also already knew you, yeah. So I was kind of a stranger to everyone except 2 of the players.
Yeah.
But they interviewed me. I apparently passed the muster, started playing Vampire with them.
And you've been a disappointment ever since.
Yeah, no, I can't. Actually, I'd say if I do one thing well, it's role play.
Actually, that is true.
Yeah.
You are a very, very good role player.
Oh, well. Thank you. That might be a little too much for me, but I appreciate that.
If we ever get it out there and you are so inclined as to watch, Ryan is, I think, very good at getting into the headspace of a character.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and that's very kind of you to say. But yeah, I played a little bit in North Carolina that were like very unsuccessful campaigns because no one knew what they were doing, and I just was like, I can't. I've done shit that would blow your people's minds. I can't sit through this anymore. I'm sorry. I'll play Magic the Gathering with you, but no.
Do you have like a Roy Batty, like the things I've seen?
No, not quite that cool. More like a Lewis Black breakdown. Because I was also a drunk at the time.
Right, yeah.
I was a drunk piece of shit.
Just sloshing a beer bottle around.
Oh yeah, I was.
You people don't know how to roleplay.
See, I almost did it again. I haven't picked up yet. I'm gonna take this. Put down this.
All right. I like the decisiveness. I'm gonna take this
and go out.
I wish.
To dinner.
Mm.
You do have to lay down to go out, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I was telling the viewers.
Oh, okay. So I was.
It's fine.
See, I know how this game works, motherfucker.
We are practically a married couple. We get very sassy with each other sometimes.
But so, all right, so
case in point, last night you answered a text with, "Well, I like this one better," and it was something you had named, and I'd actually just put it first when I rewrote the two options because I knew you liked it better, and you were like, "I like this one better," and I was like, "I know," like, or I believe I said, "I know you do."
I mean, it's one of those things where I'm always willing to have my mind changed.
Oh yeah.
But I've also learned that I need to be assertive with my opinions, you know.
That is actually just good life advice, period.
Well,
laying it on them.
Yeah.
Be assertive, but be willing to change. Like, you know, like
keep an open mind.
Try and be open about your needs.
Have a viewpoint.
But also be considerate of others' needs.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Listen to some 30-year-old stoners just playing cards on the internet, because we will tell you how to get your shit straight.
Oh, God, we must look so old because we're literally just playing cards and reminiscing about the old days.
Yes. Back when you had to be in the same room with the people that you were playing a game with.
Yeah, I subscribe to our role playing actually, and I guess it's all text-based role playing. So, and like the comments back and stuff are just so sad because there's so few. I'm like, do you even find the people you're looking for? Do they just direct message because they're more serious?
I've never understood how that works.
Yeah, I don't quite get it, but I still read it. So yeah, quick recap, just in case you were wondering: Vampire the Masquerade, then Exalted, then GURPS, then more GURPS. Like a lot, we did westerns, we did alternate reality things, we did, like you said, Vikings.
We've done military combat stuff.
Yeah,
we've done size. We've done low-level superpowers.
Oh, one of my favorite vampire things actually was when we all picked what we thought were the best races, like in Vampire from a combat standpoint, and pitted them against each other in like an empty warehouse where people were like spraying you back in. You couldn't escape because they would like spray you back in with a fire hose. We duked it out, and I won both rounds. Like I took everyone.
This goes to Ryan's belief that not only is there a master race.
Oh no!
In Vampire.
No.
But that they're the Setites, right?
Well, they're the antediluvians because they're the puppet masters that move the world of darkness. Fuck you, Sam. No. Watch me juke and jive around your bullshit. No, I always argued that a Setite with level 2 Serpentis is more dangerous than a gangrel.
Yeah.
And man, we fucking duked it out, and I was lucky enough to make it through. Some very clever role playing from everyone, trying to take advantage of their clan's disciplines.
Yes.
So yeah.
I was busting on you because you said race instead of clan.
Yeah, that's true. Clan has a pretty negative connotation too, Sam.
Well, but are you spelling
with the stuff White Wolf has been doing right before they went out of business, we might not want to be using that word.
Good point.
I guess I should be less surprised that someone who calls himself White Wolf is prone to dog whistling.
Well, you know that they're. Well, okay. Among other things, like I don't think. No, I take that back. We have had one person play. Possibly the most problematic clan.
Son of a bitch.
Jesus Christ.
It's too late. I made my choice. All right. Because I realized I could have just picked both of those up. And it's fine. It's fine.
But the Ravnos, famously, are this very gross,
Oh yeah, they make no bones about it.
Yeah.
They are
It's super racist.
they are Romani, but they constantly refer to them as gypsies and jippos and all this shit and like
And jippers and I mean they invented some new racial epithets. It's real gross.
yeah. So we probably should have seen it coming, but it was a different time.
Yes.
Um, okay. All right, so yeah, after the quick recap of all the things that we have pretty much played together, I got back to the States, started playing GURPS with you guys again. We did the Dungeon Fantasy thing, which is a new release by GURPS. We all painted minis.
Yes.
Ned did a lot of the touch up for ours, and like Ned's our storyteller. Sorry to, you know, keep dancing around it and then just say his name at the end. I don't care. But sorry, I was just assessing the situation. He like he touched up all of our minis and like they went from good to fucking fantastic. He's a very good miniature painter. And then I got invited to a D&D group. I went over a friend's house and they screamed, "I have nerds in the basement," and I was like fucking tied up, like, do I need to call the police? Like, and it's like, no, I might start playing D&D. And like my dog had just passed away and I had some extra free time and like needed to dive into something, so I started playing D&D as well.
Well, I'd also been talking to you a lot about my side piece, and
Yeah, I was getting itchy.
Yeah, you were
for
getting the
something,
itch.
but I was busy taking care of my dog like 18 hours a day
Right,
and trying
and
to
then-
run my own business.
and then like you said, then you needed something to throw yourself.
Oh
into.
yeah, and all of a sudden I had way more time than I ever
Yeah.
needed, and a giant hole in my heart because I had her from 1 year old till, going on 16.
When she was one, and
Yeah. Sorry, better way to put it. But love my life. Like,
Yeah.
great dog.
yeah, no, it's
Well, that sounds fucked up, but you know what I mean.
no. I've had her tongue in my mouth more than once.
I know what you mean, but man, does that sound bad.
Yeah, no, it's the very very sweet dog, and she's missed by all.
And I believe I had also started, like, at your recommendation, started listening to the Adventure Zone.
Yeah,
So then at that point, like, I was kind of also itching for my own D&D experience. But I did not want to infringe upon where you were playing. And also, it sounds like you guys could kind of hit the maximum number anyway. And I just kind of lucked into this, and it was perfect. So I started playing D&D 5th edition, and I've been going strong. And you just joined our group, actually. Not quite officially, but pretty much in an unofficial capacity. You come by a few hours before work, get in as much as you can, and then go to work.
Basically, there is a pre-existing NPC that I can come over and add a little flavor to, and
Well, it also takes it off our hands because
Yeah.
our store, like our DM, didn't have to do all the work of running her and all the other NPCs. Me and one other person would play her,
yeah,
but then we were playing two characters, and it's like, well, she already kind of has a personality and a thing. Can you put something into this? And you're like, oh, I can add something to this.
Yeah.
So and you did, and it's been great.
and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it, and it's
And we're getting some good cross pollination between groups, like ideas and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah. So, but with the idea that we have been kicking around for a Western campaign, I think the tentative title that we are
I think it's a little too early for that.
well, I was just saying I think that the tentative title that we are working on is probably going to be figured out within I imagine the next week or two. You basically we may start talking about it a little bit more as it's fleshed out, but it is
Once it has a name that we're all happy with and like we're sure of who's playing and how many players and everything, we'll
Yeah.
probably start to talk about it even more. Needless to say, we're both very excited. I've been playing Red Dead. I was a huge fan of the first one. I've been a fan of like Westerns my whole life. Maybe not in the same fashion you are, where you like grew up on them as bread and butter.
yeah, Westerns
but-
and war movies.
Yeah, as like a tween and a teen, I saw
I was never a tween.
I saw, well, I was going to say preteen, but I was like, at that point, should I just say child, like whatever. I loved Maverick, that came out when I was a teen, and like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp
Yeah.
were all Dances with Wolves, like all these
fuck
things came out when I was like kind of a teenager. So like I absorbed them, but you grew up as a child watching like all the old spaghetti westerns and like
Yeah,
the good shit.
I was
like
lucky enough to have
that hipster sauce, but you're not a hipster.
Yeah, I mean, I am technically sort of about some stuff.
No, I would argue we're proto hipsters. We were never trying to be hipsters.
We were hipsters before it was cool.
We just fell into it with our nerdyism because nerdy is cool now.
Yeah,
like which is fine because people should just be themselves and we shouldn't be classifying ourselves or trying to be cool.
Yeah, no, I got lucky. I grew up with a father and a stepfather that were both. Well, I don't know if it's luck, but I happened to be exposed to a lot of old classic westerns and war movies because basically, it was what was on TV because dad controlled the remote at his place and stepdad controlled the remote at his place and they wanted to put that shit on and that's what I sat there and watched.
Yeah.
So like a lot of like the like you said, the spaghetti westerns, a lot of old John Wayne, stuff that I think a lot of kids in our generation did not grow up watching necessarily.
Yeah,
I also watched a lot of kung fu movies.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of genres of movies that I've got a surprisingly broad knowledge of, and then there's other stuff that is more modern that I just don't give a fuck about. You know?
High ace, low ace? I thought we've always played it, but I want to confirm before I make a move.
I don't care. I just don't like it to wrap. I think
no wrap around.
Yeah, high or low.
Yeah, high ace, low ace. Okay. All right. See these tales of dare and do.
Ooh.
Alright, so yeah, that pretty much actually ends my role-playing career at that point. I don't think we've played anything that we haven't mentioned or...
Yeah, now I would like to point out because in theory, the idea of having a vodcast is to have people observe various episodes, and I think if we start talking about a time frame, what we're looking at is getting a dry run in the next month or so, and then hopefully having something that we can start recording or possibly doing live. I would imagine within the next 6 months, as a reasonable time frame to.
I would say, adjusting for everyone's schedules and stuff. If I had to guess, I'd say we'd probably release monthly, so it won't be, I think it would be hard for us to even do bi-weekly, but we could see.
Yeah, with everybody's various schedules, and because I would like to have ideally a 6-ish person party.
That's really big. I'm not complaining. It's just like if you ask most storytellers or DMs, they would say 4 is the sweet spot. So I was kind of wondering about that, but I know since you've kind of taken over some of the
planamajigging?
Yeah, the fleshing out, as it were, so I will have a little more surprise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bones there, there's a skeleton, there's a structure, but like you are kind of fleshing everything out around that, I believe. And like with that, like I wanted to ask, but I also didn't want to like pry. I was like, that is a decent sized group, 7 people at a table.
Well, think about it like this, and then part of it is the D&D group that I'm in is that size, and I've seen how it can work. I've also seen how it can break down into just tons of table talk.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I like Fate is that it's about collaborative storytelling, and I think that if the players have a vested interest in helping to tell the story, it should cut. Or I'm hoping it will cut down on table talk.
Yeah, but also with a smaller group, theoretically, because like our the D&D group you just joined with me, it was 4 players.
Yeah.
3 play, or well, actually it was 4 people total. 3 players and 1 DM. But even that's hard getting everyone together sometimes. You know, so like 6 people's schedules who are all adults, not teenagers, or people who already have some job where they get to like work from home and have a little more free time or something.
Well, that's part of why I wanted the larger group overall. Is I'm fine with and think it's almost ideal if when somebody or somebody's can't make it, we can still play without them.
That's what I was definitely hoping for. So then maybe we could do bi-weekly.
Yeah. I'm hoping
2 a
that
month.
with the size of the group, it'll be a little more resilient, and the story that I want to tell, I think, will allow for it.
Okay. I was just making that face. I'm like, you want to tell?
Well, because at this point it has started from a kernel that we both worked on, but in order for me to have a clear enough picture in my head of what's going on, I've had to flesh some other stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you don't need to know that the owner of the general store is fucking the baker's wife. Right? But I do, because that could come up if there's like a barricade situation. I'm just kidding. The baker's not married.
I like that you said you don't need to know and then told me. I'm like, I don't need to know. Stop talking.
Well, that's the thing. It was false information because, as I said, the baker is not married and therefore cannot be cuckolded by the general store owner.
Yeah, unfortunately, that word really lost its like fun because of the like incel alt-right men's rights.
That's one of those things that it is the correct word for certain.
Oh no, it is. I'm just saying it lost its fun. It used to be a fun word, and unfortunately now
I never thought it was a fun word.
You don't think that's fun to say? Just the literal, like syllabical.
I don't like the CK. I don't like the turn in the middle of it.
Well, I disagree wholeheartedly, but that's our choice as Americans to disagree.
And then you've got the OLD at the end.
Or not our choice, but our right to disagree. No, you can.
The
but you're not going to
shape of
mind.
it is wrong in my head.
Okay.
It's got a bend in it, and then it twists, and it's got this curly Q. The old that I don't. Ugh.
It just sounds so Englishly to me. Englishy.
Yeah, and I don't think well of the English.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've done some shitty stuff. Yeah, I mean, the English as a whole have really done some shitty stuff.
Well, the English as a whole. Have it bad enough being in England. I think if there's one thing that we've learned from Brexit, they're no better than us.
Well, at least we know how to vote. We just don't go do it.
Right, and they're just all concentrated on an island with shitty weather, where at least the United States of America is spread out and doesn't all have the shitty weather concentrated in one area.
If you're wondering what's happening here, I think me and Sam have both effectively fucked ourselves into corners and are just biding our time.
Straight into a corner.
Yeah, right into that corner.
We are playing chicken to see who gets to go out first. It's just drawing to fill a very specific niche.
But yeah, as we get more and more excited about it, we will probably talk about it more and more. And we do hope to record it and see if people want to. Ooh.
And I've played right into his hands, folks.
Maybe. Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yes. Yes.
That is a strong finish.
Yeah.
All 4 4s.
Yeah, and I almost had a with a 5, I would have had straight through.
Yeah, the
like,
flush. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about you. I am craving a cigarette.
I am. I was thinking about taking them with us while we smoke, because we used to do that with the laptop when we would record before, and that's actually where we got some of our best stuff. But I have to pee so bad. I don't want to make you vamp by yourself while I go blast a tinkle.
Well, given that one of the conceits of this is that we don't show our faces, I feel like I can't do a proper David Letterman just.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah,
there,
I mean, if you want me to vamp, I can vamp. But I feel like they're gonna wonder why I'm making all those weird noises, and they can't see my face with my eyebrows so raised.
All right. Well, in that case, let's call it. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, we're always happy to have you.
Yes.
And I think we're honestly probably pretty close to just being done for the night. We both would like to get some sleep. I think.
My bed is
calling,
casting its siren song across the beltway.
Oh, you gonna go crash on them rocks so hard?
Yeah. Well, as always, if you enjoy what you've seen here, please like and subscribe.
If you don't mind. If you're enraged by, endeared to, just anything by things we've said, feel free to comment. Point out how many times I fucked up. I'm sure it was a lot.
Yeah.
If we're playing these games wrong, good, fucking let us know. We appreciate it.
Engage with us. We're lonely.
We have a Twitter we don't use. Feel free to follow us for whatever the fuck reason.
Suggest our first tweet.
Yeah, that would be a great comment actually. Yeah, why not? We'll take votes.
We will happily just tweet your Twitter handle as our first tweet. Is that even? Yeah, I don't know how Twitter works. I'm such a fucking.
That all sounds.
I'm so out of the loop.
That all sounds like it tracks. So yeah, you can follow us on Twitter if you like. We're going to be.
But for why? We're not tweeting.
We're not. But that could be like that time you went and stood on stage at the goth club and just smoked, and everyone thought it was like some weird performance art thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably are coming to Steam, or not Steam.
Twitch.
Twitch. Thank you. Steam is a video game releasing website. We are probably going to be coming to Twitch and streaming, like while we do it on YouTube as well very soon. We are like days away from that.
Yeah, that's right. We are looking at simulcasting, and we're going to keep putting out these random fucking live episodes
as often as we can.
Yeah, and what I'm waiting for, I'm dying for somebody to actually catch us live. That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Just, ooh.
Yeah.
Getting jazzed all thinking about it.
I'm sure someone will eventually.
Luck of the draw.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I feel like this is better than chat roulette.
I wouldn't know.
Well, that's I'm just.
I mean, it seems much better in premise.
I tried it out. It was very frustrating.
Oh, if we're going by that, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So,
all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely evening and stay bored and baked.
Oh, right, that one.
Nice.
Yeah.